Okay. All right. So it's been a minute since I've been live, and I normally go live and I talk about grief, and so that's normally what I've been talking about when I do my live broadcasts. But today we're gonna still talk about grief
Pay close attention to this.
because
Energy flows to where attention goes. If you are
I don't ever
focusing
want us to try to lose sight on that because um, we got a lot of people that's going through things in this world, right? They have lost loved ones, um, and they're finding it very difficult to get through, day to day, waking up in the morning, living without their loved ones. Um, they find it very difficult for them to maintain. And so sometimes dealing with grief, again, we talked about how to grieve. There's so many ways that people grieve, right? Um, grief can also offset depression. That's one of the things that can set in when you're not grieving properly. And I'm telling anyone it's okay to grieve, but just grieve properly. Make sure that while you're grieving, get it out, cry, scream, because those are part of emotions. Um, because you got to look at, especially during the holiday seasons or your loved one that went on to be with the Lord um, during their birthday. Um, Even thinking throughout your day, right? Because I had a son, two sons uh, to pass. One in 2018 who was killed from gun violence. And then I had one that passed from COVID-19 in 2021. So I do understand very well dealing with grief. And there are times that you're going to ask those questions. Lord, why me? Why this happened to me? What have I done to deserve this? Those are all normal questions that you're going to be asking. And that's dealing with feelings, our emotions, our feelings. They're very raw and normal. So I'll tell anyone that while you're grieving, you're going to feel the sense of anger, sense of hatred, bitter, all that. Those are normal feelings, right? But don't let those feelings overpower you uh, to the point that you want to end up taking your life, or like when my son died in 2018, that you feel like you want to go and retaliate to take someone else's life, right? Um, so grief, whenever someone leaves your out of your life to go on and be with the Lord, um, we often have those uh, feelings to, you know, why you had to take my loved one. You know, you feel a sense of saying within yourself, this is not fair. Um, but can I tell you this? Um, the Bible speaks very, very, when it comes down to grief, he says, every man that is born of a woman, right? That we're going to leave here. Some leave earlier than others, okay? And some later. I would have never thought, and I am 55 years old, right now while I'm making this live video. In 9 days, no, actually in 8 days, I will be 56 years old. I would have never thought that I would lose two children. You always, as parents, you always say that you want your children to go, or you want to leave before your children. No parent wants to raise their children. I mean, no parent wants to die before their children die. But we don't have that time clock. We don't have that say so on who's to go first and who's to go last, right? We just have to prepare ourselves, right? That when it happens, we'll be prepared to grieve, but to grieve safely, right? Any two times, I'll tell anybody, if you um, feel like you want to take your life in the process of you grieving, reach out to someone. Reach out to someone like your local counselor or your local minister or a friend. Always have someone to listen um, to you, or always have someone that you can talk to, because when you're grieving, um, one of the best ways of grieving properly is talking about it, talking to your loved ones, talking to a counselor if you don't have loved ones. Um, that will help you to grieve properly. Um, like I said, there's negative ways of grieving, and those ways are, wanting to retaliate, wanting to unalive somebody else, or wanting to unalive yourself. Those are all negative waves of grieving. Grief hits us when we least expect it, right? But it shouldn't, because the Bible tells us to make preparations, because we're not here um, to stay forever. This is not our destination. You know, there is a final destination for each and every one of us. And so we have always got to keep in the back of our mind to um, make preparations for that, because a man that's born of a woman, is going to leave here. There are many days that's set before them that they're going to leave here. Um, so we want to talk about that, and we want to talk about another thing that sets in when you're grieving, and that is the spirit of depression. Um, you can grieve to the point, right, that it will cause physical ailments in your body um, that will offset depression, worration, anxiety, stress. All those things come when we're not grieving properly. I'll tell anyone that if you feel depressed, if you feel overwhelmed, to seek out a counselor, uh, talk to your local minister, uh, talk to someone. Just don't keep that stuff balled down in your body, because I can tell you from experience, I went through that. I went through depression, and depression is not, it's a monster, So I tell you before that you even, um, I'll tell you before the enemy even tried to offset that in your spirit, right? Because we know that the enemy comes to do three things: to kill, steal, and destroy. And so if we're not talking to anyone, if we're grieving, and we got our loved ones picture in our hands, and we're just crying every day, concerning that going visiting the graves and laying on the grave plots and stuff like that. The enemy will use that and will cause depression to set in. I can tell you from experience that can happen. And like I said, depression is a monster, but we know that God is a healer, right? So, again, I know it's been a while since I came on here to talk to you guys. I'm going to start coming on here more often because I am covering a love story that went sour, that now is on the way to they are being divorced. Hasn't yet finalized, but we know it's headed that way. So I'm going to be covering some of the latest trends, and I'm still going to be covering grief over here on this channel. So I thought I would just pop in today. I noticed I don't have anyone on the live, and that's okay because I really kind of got off the bandwagon when I first started coming doing my YouTube. So I'm getting back into the groove. And so y'all be patient. I'm coming with some good stuff. We got good things that's coming on the horizon. Y'all stay tuned. But I'm going to say this before I leave. Grieve, but make sure you're grieving properly, okay? Y'all be blessed and God bless.